What I'm going to talk to you about today is focus on your presentation. Because while you've done a phenomenal job building green, I am suggesting you want to do a phenomenal job presenting it with power. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to build a powerful presentation. And the schedule is I'm going to talk for about 35 minutes, and then you're going to try and put that into practice. And if we have time, one or two of you will be brave enough to come up and try what it is that I'm hoping you do. My goal today is to have you leave changed. Have a vision for your presentation, and if you already have a vision for your presentation, either confirm it completely, Leo approved, or change it completely, but you know at the end it's going to be better. Fair enough?
Very important you said that your goal was that.
Absolutely. My goal is that. First of all, of course, congratulations. Those of you who have passed the... I'm sorry?
Sorry, I'm talking to my phone.
Oh, I see.
It's an answer.
Ignore. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Ignore it.
Ignore it. I see. I'm not crazy. I'm just talking on my phone.
I forgot to sign.
But congratulations, because not many people have made it, and like I've mentioned, this is an amazing opportunity for you. However, here's what's going to happen. As far as I know, Laura will correct me if I'm wrong, there are 10 teams, 10 slides, 10 minutes. That's why it's 10 by 10 by 10. We're going to be meeting at Kane Hall on the second floor in UW, right there. And you're going to be one of the people to present. Hopefully somebody will break a leg or something, and you'll be right there.
Have to go out.
But let me rephrase the same information a little differently, and maybe you can connect to it. Let me know if you feel this way. First of all, how do you feel about this presentation? Honestly, are you
Excited.
worried, excited?
I'm excited.
Excited.
Enthusiastic, excited?
Curious.
Curious. George, any adjectives? Sorry? Silence your phones, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to it. It's a fun evening. The new format where they have it at Kane Hall and they have food before and after. I think it was
It's a
great.
great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. But let me rephrase the actual event for you. This is what Kane Hall kind of looks like. At least that's one of the Kane Halls. So let me put it to you this way. There are 10 teams. 10. You only have 10 slides. Not 20, not 12, not 11, 10. And most importantly, you only have 10 minutes to tell your story. How passionate are you about your project? Too bad. You only have 10 minutes. Now, in the previous years, you actually had what's called an extra minute or two. If the audience really liked what you're saying, they would give you they will throw you a bone. There are no bones. You get taken off the floor. There's a hook. The hook will be attached, and you will get pulled, even if you're in the middle of the most important part, even if you didn't get to your conclusion. How bad would that be? Right? The question is, what do you do about it? And let's not forget that you are in Kane Hall, looking up. I hate stadium seating. Looking up and feeling like little bitty, and then there's the big screen, maybe two.
There's two.
There's two. And little you. Big screens. Little you. Okay? How do you work with that? It's different from the building of the house, but it has a lot of similarities. If you ask me to do your job, it would be a bad house without training. Same thing here. Okay? And that's what I hope to do today. So here's what you can do. You have a month to prepare. You can write your speech the night before. You can cram 6 months of details into 10 minutes and bore everybody to death. And you can also freeze on stage and forget where you are in the presentation. That all happened in the last 2 years. Okay? Or I suggest that you can be like the foursome in Wizard of Oz, okay? Following the yellow brick road to see the wizard and ultimately getting what your heart desires the most. Which is what? Why are you doing all this? What would you like to accomplish out of this presentation, ideally?
Tell the story of a great project.
Tell a story of a great project, okay?
Have a great time.
Have a great time.
Yeah, open a few eyes.
Open a few eyes, okay? No one wants more business. This is amazing. You guys are full, right? You have no need for new business?
I want to sell my last 2 units.
Okay, last 2 units. However, I would say that is might not, while that might not be your primary goal, wouldn't it be nice if there was a residual business that came to you a month after, 2 months after, 2 years after? Okay? So this is what you can do. You can actually tell a powerful story, powerful backstory behind the actual project, behind those numbers, or the bells and whistles, or leaves and roots, as I say. You can actually share slides and ideas that stick. Stick in the mind so that 2 years after people will remember. Oh, you're the guy with the 2 sewage systems that get filtered, right? Something like that. And finally, you can actually inspire your audience to action. Whether it's an action of buying something new, used instead of new, it could be making sure changing to energy efficient appliances, or it could actually be hiring you. Wouldn't it be nice? So is this worth your time to do that? That's why you're here. The other people, probably not. They want to do the other one. Well, that's good. That's what we're going to do today. And so here are the objectives. At the end of today, I hope that you can build content around your backstory. Not your backstory around your content, but your content around your backstory. To design a PowerPoint that helps the key ideas to stick. And finally, to find your courage. And courage doesn't just mean standing out there and talking, but the courage of getting into the heart of the matter, why you care, and sharing that with the audience. Okay? And if you do that, I will tell you, and I have proof, that you can get results. Whatever the results you mentioned, and the one that I mentioned, which you didn't, which is you still want to get more business. So if that's worth it, what I would like for you to do is do me a favor right now. If you can grab your card, if you have a card with you, on you, and if not, you can actually take a little piece of paper. This is for me. You give it to me, but yeah, take your card, turn it to the back if you have writing space on it, and write these letters on there. NWCRS, and in the lower right-hand corner,
Like that?
yep, just like that. In the lower right-hand corner, draw a square, and if you can, put a line above, somewhere above it. Okay, easy enough? Thank you. I'll get back to that at the end. Yes?
Please, people, eat sandwiches too.
These people eat sandwiches too. If anybody who wants a sandwich, because we paid good money for it, if you want to grab one, go ahead. By the way, I am videotaping this, so if you feel like you're going to miss something, I can send it to you and you'll get it. So don't worry about it. Good, thank you for doing that for me. So as a speech coach, my background really is in startups. I've done several startups, I have several patents, and in the process, I had to speak a lot. And my wife sent me to Toastmasters, and I said, you don't know Toastmasters, do you train? I said, what do I need that for? I'm not afraid of public speaking. And she said, yes, Leo, I know. But when you speak, other people are afraid of you public speaking. I said, oh, okay. So I did join, and that gave me the foundation of the skills necessary to speak effectively, but more importantly, it made me curious and hungry for more. So I became a student of it, and my interest became a passion, passion became a calling, and I started a company called Speak with Power Consulting, where I help business professionals to overcome the curse of fear and the curse of knowledge, and help them build their business, increase sales, and speak with confidence. And what I found is to tell a story that connects, to speak with power. You need something that I say, it's a speak acronym. It's to tell a story with a purpose. that engages the audience in order to share knowledge. Sounds really simple, right? Tell a story with a purpose that engages the audience in order to share knowledge. But stop and think for just a second about the last presentation you've heard. The last bad presentation you heard. Did they do that? I will wager to say no. I will wager to say that if it was a presentation, the longer it is, the more relevant this is they probably dumped knowledge on it. They told you lots of stuff. And at the end of it, it sounded interesting, but you don't remember it now. Right? It's not interesting enough to remember. It's not sticky. And it didn't cause you to act. And that's the difference between speaking and speaking with power. So I'll teach you a little bit today about what does it take, especially for you. You only have 10 minutes. So let's go through it. So here's the backstory. Remember Wizard of Oz? This is Dorothy, right? Or in our story, it's not Dorothy, it is Laura. 2 years ago, Laura came to me and asked me to help her because she won the 10 by 10 by 10 and she was presenting. And she didn't know how to present effectively. We sat down, we worked through it, and she did a fantastic job, in my opinion. And if you don't believe it, you can go to her website, to images, go under, and there is a video of her doing it. Okay? But this is what she told me when I asked her what was the point of the training. And what is the point here? This is what she said. She said, I was so in love with my project, I wanted to give all the information about it. But you taught me that no one cares and remembers about that shit. Okay? That's her exact words. No one remembers that shit. All those things, the bells and whistles, no one will remember. Because first of all, those of you who are there and you're listening, you have your own shit to think about. I just realized that I'm across the PG-13 line and there's no beepers. Right? And the other thing is that your audience, whether they are architects and other professionals, they have their own stuff. And those people who are not that, it goes over their heads. Fair enough? Okay, so it worked. So let's dive into it. So this is what I'm thinking. When she started speaking, came in, she actually gave her backstory. More specifically, the story of finding that she's pregnant with 2 twins, living in a tiny Georgetown apartment, and looking for a house that would fit their budget, which did not fit their thoughts on green or quality. And then she talked about, and I'm sorry to say she, because she's right behind you, but she gave sticky ideas that ultimately connected to her branding and to her passion. You don't need to radical changes to make radical shift in your own home. She repeated it several times. And finally, she had takeaways. She had 3 key points that she wanted to make. And one of them was the health of the house, and there were several others. There was attainable living, return on investment, and then the health of the house. Very, very simple, 3 points. And what happened, in my opinion, is that people's attention was riveted. I was there, I listened to the other 9, and they couldn't even come close. It did help that Vivian and Sydney, at the end of the presentation, came in and held her hands, and it's like was the collective, aww. Yeah. So that's my other advice, in case if you have little children, time them so they run up to you at the end of the presentation, and you will win major points. Okay. More importantly, she got results, and she can tell you herself. Tell them yourself. I do have you here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think one of the things is, like Leo was saying, is that people, even 2 years later, will come to me and say, I'll say that just turn around. They'll come to me and say, I just really liked your presentation. And when I put together my submission, I was worried that it wasn't green enough. You know, like my story wasn't good enough, my project wasn't green enough because I held the guild, you know, here. But then I figured, well, actually, everything in my house has a lot of green attributes, and we've done a really great job. But then I wanted to tell all those details, and that's not what they were going to remember. But people still say, gosh, I really liked your presentation. And then the other thing that I did is that we have it videotaped every year. And that year was the first time that the videographer was willing to separate out just your segment and put your PowerPoint slides into it, so it's not just you talking to the camera, but integrate your PowerPoint slides, and he was only charging $150. So I got that, and everyone who's come to my website who doesn't know us personally through some sort of networking or something watches that video. They all tell me they watched that video, and they always tell me what they connected to by watching that video. And it's beautiful. Doesn't mean I always get the job, but those people still refer me. You know, because they liked us well enough that, you know, there may have been something else that we didn't get that particular job, but they will refer me still. So, results, for sure.
Results is there. So it's definitely worth it. Yes?
With that being said, I've proctored the jury for about the last 5 years, and the jury has really started focusing in on the story that contains the elements that can be told in a way that makes that connection. And Laura's presentation just the jury chose it specifically for the story. There were many projects that were more sustainable, greener in nature, but they didn't tell a story. And that really, she hit it out of the park when she did it. It really livened up the evening.
Oh, that's good. And it did liven up the evening. So you all are here because they've picked you already. You already have the story. My job today is to help you highlight it, bring it out, okay? Okay, so let's go into it. So why does it matter? So this is why it matters, guys. It matters because you want to capture people's imagination and capture people's emotions. You have 10 minutes. There is no way you can feed them information. Can you agree with me on that? There's not enough time to feed them, teach them things. At least if you don't believe me, I'm telling you that. Okay? If you're still skeptical, hopefully you won't be skeptical by the end. I'm suggesting that your job at the end of the presentation is to make them hungry. Don't feed them, make them hungry for the information that you want. So then they can go and they seek you out, they find your website, or they learn about the process that you're utilizing and utilize it in their own projects. Fair? And that's a lot easier to do. Okay? And this is the structure that I found useful. My suggestion is that a good story is like a roller coaster. People, you sit them down in the beginning, they get off at the end, and hopefully they're changed. They went, woo! Right? Just like in The Wizard of Oz, right? Wizard of Oz, Dorothy comes in, finds herself, she's not in Kansas. Stuff starts happening to her, right? It's not boring. Right? What happens, right? So there's a setup, she's in Kansas, she wakes up, she's in this magical land, right? Then there's tension, right? House drops on the witch, little people come and munchkins come and befriend her, right? So there is a tension, and then there's an action, right? We had this problem with gutters, and then this is the action we took. But then there was another problem, another tension, and then there was another action that you did, right? So you take people, and what happens, tension means just that. You want people to be on the edge of their seats. That's what makes a good movie, right? It means that if there's a fire alarm, as you just described your tension, I have linoleum floors with 20 years of grime built into them. That was from Laura's. If there's a fire alarm right there and then, people will stay in their seats and say, tell us what you did. Don't leave. You're not allowed to leave. Tell us what you did. That's what you want people to do. So it's not about making people go up. It's not about making people go down. It's not about keeping them straight. It's about having them go up and down, up and down. So then they're spent at the end. And then they say, oh, that was a good movie. Or in your case, 10 minutes. Okay? So you have that. At the end of that, you have a resolution, right? Something happened, right? The problems ultimately were resolved. And then you have a takeaway. Some kind of a moral lesson or a call to action. Do this, do that. Try to do this. Change your mind. I'm hoping you come out of this the same way. Okay? Fair enough? Okay. So that's the structure, and we'll practice it today. So here are the takeaways for that, as far as the content is concerned. Build on a structure of what I call STAR, which is the one that I just showed you. Setup, tension, action, resolution, takeaway, or STAR for short. You have it on the back of your worksheet, so you don't have to worry. And in the front of your worksheet, you have it right here. I made it really super easy for you. Okay? Second, install 3 key points. So remember I said tension, action? Laura had 3 points. 3 key points, and just going back to what Doug said, you were picked specifically for key specific features. Pick those features, and there's a story behind those features. Build on those stories. Okay? And bring the story to life, bring it to life through a story. And here are a couple of elements for you to consider. I'm just going to, there's not enough time for me to go through all of them. I can coach you on that, but here, key elements. Names, names, names. First names. Not my client, Mary, Kelly, George. Not they were happy, they were sad. Show us, tell us what happened. You want to be super detailed on the minute things. They came in and they showed and the gutters were going and she was crying. You want to show the human story. And then you can say, and we built it. Instead of saying, oh, they were unhappy with it. And this is what we did. We took 2x4s and we placed them here, and there was not a right angle, so we had to move it slightly. You will lose people right off of that, okay? So those two, and then use descriptive words. Use words that are emotional, and feel them yourself, okay? Okay, so that's your content. Now, you are going to be using PowerPoint, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Have you heard of this phrase? Yeah, by PowerPoint. When I found this slide, I just couldn't help it. I was like, how to succeed in business? Not like this. This is not how you succeed. This is not how you succeed. But that's what happens. Right? Notice, I could be here, but not. Okay? Luckily, hopefully, you will have a different projector, so this is not going to be an issue. But it's still an important thing. Most people use PowerPoint as a crutch. And as I mentioned to some of you, if you take away the crutch, they fall flat on their face. I'm suggesting to keep the lights well up and be the center of attention. This PowerPoint is there to accentuate your points. It's not to read off of, and it's not for them to read. The eyes should be on where? Not me, you. There, yes, absolutely, but not on the PowerPoint. PowerPoint is there to glance. So let's break it down. First of all, you have 10 slides. This is my suggestion. I broke it down for you on your worksheet, how these slides go. Okay? It's using the same START acronym: setup, tension, action, resolution, and takeaway. But, so first you have the title slide. It's the first one with your name, the title of your, hopefully an interesting title, and all the other information. Next, you have setup, the story. Remember that picture of our wonderful pregnant Laura with the 2 little bumps? Yeah, little did I know that 2 years later I'm going to have the 2 little bumps. Hopefully not, and luckily not in all at once. Yes.
Question. The title slide?
Yes.
I think previously that's been provided by the organization between presentations. Is that right?
I'm suggesting that if that's the case, you take it back and you use it yourself, because you want to have a theme going, have a color theme going. You don't want to have some kind
Our
of...
10-slide limit is a precious one.
I know, but unfortunately, I think that that's your slide. Sorry.
Right,
Are you like...
We,
Oh, yeah.
if I may, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
Oftentimes, we superimpose the title slide over the first picture, or it stands alone as a separate slide, but it hasn't been counted against the 10.
I see. So you might have an extra. So you're saying there is an extra one. Title slide
I
is not
didn't
it.
know that.
I
did mine.
You might have a freebie slide, people.
But the
Take it-
3D slide would be title only. You
Yeah,
couldn't-
I am suggesting, so remember, here's the idea, George, and this is really key. This is going to take a little while to change paradigm. Your job is not to share information. If that's the case, you don't care. If they just tell you tomorrow that they've changed their mind and it's only 5 slides,
And actually, we'll get this out as a directive for everybody, so that you have it.
So assume that this is part of your slide, okay? It'll help you. That means if you're really hard pressed and you must get something out, you have an extra slide to do it, okay? But title slide, setup, then setup is the story. What happened? What is the story that you're trying to say? The overall story, the background information. Then, shit happened. Stuff happened. For you, right? So this is another big mistake that people make, is that they don't include themselves. They talk about it in abstract in the third person. It's you who's doing the work, to someone else. And that's the only thing that your audience can relate to. So you have the tension, and you have the action. You have another tension, you have another action. You have another tension, you have another action. By the way, there are 3, so these are the 3 points that you can bring up in the setup. After you tell the background story, you say, this is why I'm doing this project. This is why I'm so passionate about it. There are 3 things about it. And then you go into the depth of the story. This is exactly what Laura did. Finally, you have the resolution. When we fixed all that, this is what happened. This is how happy the people were, or this is how better the environment was. This is how small the carbon footprint was. Okay? Make sense? Finally, you have the takeaway slide. Takeaway slide is what's in it for us? What is the action? What is the thing that you want people to leave with? What is the thought that you want to leave it? And you will reiterate it, obviously, in your presentation. Okay? Next, in the PowerPoint, have you ever heard the phrase that the picture is worth 1,000 words? All right, so sometimes there's mold in the walls. Sometimes there's mold in the walls. Which one is more powerful? Right? A rhetorical question, of course. That may be almost people. But this is so much more powerful. So when you're starting to cram your words into your PowerPoint, remember this, okay? Here's the thing, that studies show that more information you put on your slide, the less likely the audience will remember it, or even pay attention to what you're talking about because they're looking at the slide. If you want to give information, give it on a handout instead. The bottom line is, PowerPoint is not for reading. Not for me, not for you. What does that mean? Simple math. You want to start with 10 slides. You want to pick pictures that stick out of all the pictures. And you want to adhere to 25-word rule. What is 25-word rule? Means you have either 3 bullet points, okay, of about, whatever, can't divide, 6, 7 words. Or if you have 5 bullets, of 5 bullets of 5 words. No complete sentences, no periods, no commas. It's not for reading. But the less words, the better. The fewer words, the better. Yes, sir?
Are you talking about spoken words or written words?
Written words.
Yeah, you just said don't use words.
Sorry. Yeah, if you can get away with no words at all, perfect. If there are some slides you want words because they're key elements that key message you want to give.
Yeah.
But when you give it, count the words. If there are more than 25 words, you're losing your audience.
On any one slide.
On any one slide. Yes.
Sometimes adding minimal words to help keep your audience focused on what you're talking about at that moment, or
Yes.
what's the point, like you set up your situation saying, I'm gonna talk about these 3 things, and this slide refers to one of those 3 things, remind them of that.
Yeah. Title is important, and the rest is important. You can also have, it's 25 words at one time, so if you have things, flickering in and out, that's fine as long as it's not distracting. By the way, that PowerPoint is not for reading was a very distracting animation, and I did that on purpose. Those are the takeaways that I want you to have as far as your PowerPoint is concerned. Those are also on your handout, the top 10 takeaways. Yes,
With that, can I give a specific example?
please. You want to come up?
No.
Okay.
On the Rumsford project,
Yes.
one of the questions from the jury, how could they cost effectively do the reverse chiller system, and how could this be used? I.e. a 5-word answer to that question, because that will be an audience question.
Okay, so you might actually get specific whose project is that? Is it? Yeah, all right. Good luck. 5? Nice, all right. Good luck with that. My phone number is on that thing, but I don't know, that's a little, what she just said, I didn't understand, so it has to be dumbed down. And that's the other thing. You want someone to truly understand it, okay, who has no clue. That's the idea. Even if an architect or a professional just like you hears it, they'll fill in the details themselves, they know. And there's a second reason to do it this simply, is because you will also have your PowerPoint presented later on in a gallery without words, and it'll just be flashing. Well, is it a?
We haven't gone into those details yet, so
Yes.
I can mention that.
You can mention. Anyways, you want your PowerPoint to be self-explanatory a little bit, but again, nothing long, very short. All right, we're good. We just covered 2 key elements: content and PowerPoint. Here's the critical one. None of them matter unless there is good delivery. What happens often with delivery? Because I can build your content for you in your PowerPoint, but can't do delivery for it. Nor would I want to do the other two. But the idea is, what happens if you deliver flammables and your thing overturns? As it unfortunately happened in Tennessee. You have fire, you have blow up. And I've seen presentations blow up. So that's what we want to avoid. By the way, did you see how that picture demonstrated my point? I could have wrote it all out, but you remember an overturned guest truck a lot more. So this is what I'm saying. Remember we said it was 10 by 10 by 10? I'm suggesting that not to use that rule. Use it 10 by 10 by 9. Man, you took away my slide. You took away my minute. You're like a Russian or something. You're like a Russian. I am Russian, so that's what we do in communism. We take it away. Maybe we'll give it back to you, and then you're grateful. Okay? That's how it works. Here you want more. No. We take everything away, then we give you a little bit. You're happy. Yes. So how does 9 minutes work? Here's how it works. It's very simple. You have a setup. 2 minutes. Whole 2 minutes. Not like, hi, my name is, this is what we do. Now let me tell you about the 2x4s. Or, I think 2x4s are not green, so I should stop using that. It could be, yeah. It could be green. There you go. There we go. So, setup, 2 minutes. Next, middle. The beginning, middle, 6 minutes. Tension, action, 6 minutes. 6 minutes, a normal person speaks at a rate of 100 to 120 words a minute. So when you're typing it up, 600 to 720 words, or whatever. Finally, the end, 1 minute. Now why did I mention 9 minutes and not 10?
Because people run over.
Why? Why do people run over? Even if you practice at home. Okay, there's the I am hoping that parts of your presentation will be funny.
I think, yeah, people laugh when they like.
Yeah, and what do you do with the laughter?
Pause.
You stomp on it. Screw them. Who cares about whatever? No, of course not. You don't stomp on it. You don't say, I have other things to do here. You stop and you listen. You stop and you let them go. By the way, laughter usually follows in 2 humps. If you let it go. Usually, if you make a joke, it'll be like this. Ha ha! Sure, just like with anything else. There are early adopters and serious. Like people are like, oh, I can laugh. Right? So that's really important. And if you stomp on it, you lose it. Okay? That's my fault. So here's the point. The reason why is because whatever speed you practice with, slow down. Because what will come across is that you're confident, and that you mean what you say, and that you care. Fair enough? By the way, out of those 3, which is the most important part? The end. And unfortunately, where does it reside? At the end. And if your time is short, what gets cut? The end. Okay? So how do you overcome that? Well, 1, you practice, as I said. Number 2, I suggest something in the middle could be thrown out. One of the slides, you can double click it. have a throwaway slide, and if you notice that you are running out of time, why? Because you want to be slow, calm, and collected for the conclusion. It's the hardest advice to take. Yes?
With that, Leo, if I may, a couple of us have presented.
Yes.
For the ones that haven't, you will have a prompter that's holding
Yeah.
up cue cards with 5 minutes left, 1 minute left. So you will have that visual.
And that's great, but then if you practice that way, you'll know, wait, when I was at home, I was already on point 3. I'm still on point 2, just like I am. Okay? So there's stuff that you can throw out because ultimately people will just know how they feel. And if you play your cards right, you can go to your website, watch the video of the presentation, and then let me know, okay? Because this is just the beginning, but I'm suggesting this is an important one, okay? All right, so last piece is find your courage. Find your courage to speak in public. And how many of you love the idea of speaking in public? How many of you enjoy it? Okay, good. Okay, so we have three out of 6, 50%. It's about it, right? So here's the thing. Are you still fearful when you? Are you still nervous when you're?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we're all nervous. Nervousness is awesome. If you're not nervous, you're an automaton, and nobody would care. But the idea is not to get rid of the butterflies. The idea is to make them fly in formation. Make them use it because your nervousness is make it authentic, and then you'll communicate. Again, not enough time to talk about it in detail, but here's the key elements. Get to the passion. What is it that makes you passionate about the project? Don't just say the words. Feel the emotions. I can't help you do that, but that's where when you say it was the most challenging project I've ever had. Really? It didn't sound like it. It was the most challenging project I've ever had. It really was. Right? Then it's believable. Prepare. It's worth to prepare. Because this is not just for this presentation, you can actually use it after this event is done. Present well. Present like you care, like you mean it. And then post-event. Record it and get evaluated. Have someone else evaluate it for you so you can learn from it. Because any mistakes, and I will guarantee you every one of you will make mistakes. Every one of you will go off stage saying, dang it, I forgot that part. Guess what? Nobody knew. They didn't have the cliff notes. Not only that, any mistakes you make, you will forever remember. They will be etched in your mind and you'll never do them again if you think about them. Okay? So here's the other key piece that is really important, and this is the hardest one to really swallow. The mind versus the heart. What do you speak to? The heart. But what do most people speak to? The mind. They speak to the mind. They want to give you, oh wait, I didn't convince you? Let me give you some more information. No, if you didn't convince them, they don't want more information. Right? Look at all the dysfunction in the Senate and in Washington, D.C., right? Would more information help them resolve their issues? They just don't agree with each other. They hate each other. Until you figure that out, they can't fix it. So the idea here is it's true. The heart is most important. And one of my favorite quotes is that while the mind makes a decision, it is the heart that makes the commitment. While the mind makes a decision, it is the heart that makes the commitment. And you want people to make a commitment to something, not just for the benefit of them and the world, but because then they'll remember you and they'll give business to you. So what are the takeaways? Stay within time. Deliver with passion and reach the hearts of your audience. All right, so why do this at all? Well, I think Laura already mentioned all the reasons why do it at all. And it was really awesome to see the little girls run up to her at the end. But what she was saying was really heartfelt, and people were changed by it. So here are the objectives that I've outlined when we started. To build content around your backstory, to design a PowerPoint that helps the key ideas that stick, and find your courage to speak with power. I hope we did that today. Please stretch the surface. Yes?
Mhm.
You can
Yeah,
also
no,
go
it's
no.
good.
All right, good. Because when you do, you will get the results that you want. And that's the ultimate point here. So that's what I wanted to mention. And if you look at your handout, you'll see that there are actually 10 takeaways. Okay? And what's the number 10? What's the 10th? Videotape yourself. I cannot tell you how important it is, but I can tell you that I'm videotaping myself. The point here is when Lauren did her presentation, there were 10 people. She was the only one who took the opportunity and did it. Last year, 2 people took up the opportunity. This time, I have a sneaking suspicion at least 4, maybe 5 people will take that opportunity. Yes? Yes.
If I may address
Please.
that, because
Yeah.
this is exceptionally valuable. The evening basically will be 2 hours of presentations. And the energy level of the audience during the course of the evening goes up and down based on the presentation. And so if you find yourself number 6 as the presenter and the energy level has dropped considerably, if you bring that passion, you'll liven up the evening for the rest of the presenters, and it really sets the stage. We try to balance it, but it's the presenter.
So how do you figure out the sequence of which, is that something you determine ahead of time?
Ooh, if you come and sit on the jury next year, you'll get that.
Do you have the sequence?
There's a patented process.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Have you figured it out, the sequence of this?
The sequence is being put together, and it will be brought to the next jury meeting, which is this coming Monday, and the jury will vote on the presentation.
I see,
I think they're trying to do what he is trying to say, which is keep the energy up.
yes.
So, but the beauty is, the 5 of you are the secret weapon. 5 of you have been equipped. They know for sure you know what to do and how to be dynamic. And here's another key element. You don't need to be like someone else. The idea is you want to be yourself when you present. But you want to be yourself on purpose. Not by accident, not like last minute, not let me tell you as much as I can. And here's the bottom line. Thank you so much. Did it address the issue? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, one more quick thing
Mhm.
with that. The jury does try to build the presentations if they know the history of the presenters and their speaking abilities. They do try to mix it in through the course of the evening. But we have an awful lot of unknowns every year.
You do. You have a nose. And my suggestion, I appreciated that because it gives you the overall. You can do this for the good of the order. I'm suggesting you're doing it for the good of you too. There is an incredible value for you to be passionate, especially if you videotape yourself. Because then you will both learn from the experience, but it becomes a really powerful